So my mum wanted to take over the care of my new baby, but I wasn't happy to let her because I wanted to look after him myself, and the fact that she wasn't a very good mum in my opinion, and she'd been very abusive to us, I didn't particularly want her to have much involvement, which didn't go down very well with her because she's so used to being in control. She knows everything, she's right, I can't possibly be right when it comes between me and her, and I should be listening to her, and why aren't I listening to her? So she'd make sure that my two older sisters agreed with everything she said. She's not listening, she's not, doing anything I'm telling her to do, she wants to do it her way, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And they would side with my mother and, try and railroad me into doing things my mother's way, which I wasn't happy to do. At one point, I remember I wasn't sleeping very well, and at the time I was meant to be sharing with my younger brother and sisters in one room, but then she had me moved to my sister's room, who had just started a new job, so she needed to get up early in the morning, but I was up most of the night with the baby, wasn't sleeping properly, so I'd be up at all hours and disturb her, which then she complained that she couldn't sleep. So then I got transferred to the sitting room, to the front room, the lounge. So I was sleeping on the sofa with my newborn baby in a Moses basket next to me, which I didn't mind, it's fine. I didn't want to disturb them. I understood my sister had to go to work, I understood the young sisters and brother had to go to school in the morning, so I didn't really want to be a nuisance to anybody. So that was fine. I was quite happy. I'll just sleep on the sofa. That's not a problem. But my mum clearly wasn't happy because I wouldn't let her take over the care of the baby. So what she did was she, without me knowing, obviously I didn't know any of this, she went to my GP and she said that I've gone crazy. I'm not taking medication, that I won't listen to anything she says, that I've completely lost the plot, and she ordered an emergency psychiatric evaluation on me. I remember, I think she must have told me that I needed to go down to the GP surgery for an appointment. And I was trying my best to get ready, I was trying my best to get the baby ready, but every time I wanted to do something, he'd need to change a nappy, he'd vomited, he needed a feed, and it was just non-stop, and it just took me ages trying to get down to the surgery. I can't remember exactly how long, but it was quite a while before I could actually get down to the surgery. And when I got there, everyone's just looking at me, everyone's giving me weird looks and staring at me, and it just made me feel so funny, sorry. And I don't understand, it just felt really uncomfortable and really awkward kind of environment. I don't understand what was going on. And my mum was sat there all sort of sullen face, waiting for me, because she'd been sat there for a couple of hours now waiting for me. And I think I went into the doctor and the doctor spoke to me. I don't actually remember exactly what the doctor said, I just remember being at the surgery and feeling really awkward and stuff. And then I went back home, and the next thing I know, I'm in my front room, my mum's front room, and there's a doctor, there's a psychiatrist, there's a nurse, there's a midwife, my mum, my sisters, just everyone, just all around me. It was just me and the baby, and then all these people filled the whole room, and I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know why people were all there. They just wanted to talk to me. They were asking me lots of different questions, so I thought, okay. So I tried to answer the best I could. My sister was there to translate for my mum because my mum didn't understand English that well. The next thing I know, they're saying, well, you're going to have to come with us. And I'm like, oh, where are we going? Oh, we've got to take you with us. So I started packing all my stuff. I didn't understand, where I was going, how long I was going for. They possibly explained to me. I don't recall them explaining anything to me. I just remember them saying that we're going to take you with us. And so I packed as much as I could, literally all my stuff I packed, because I didn't understand if I was going permanently, if I was just going temporarily, how long it's going to last. So I went with them, and we drove up to this huge white Victorian building. I mean, it's beautiful. I remember seeing it and thinking, wow, this is beautiful. Massive, massive place. Really modern, really fresh, really white, really sort of like gorgeous building. And I was taken down to the mother and baby unit there, and I was given my own room and my own bathroom. And the baby had his own cot. It was really nice. I just thought, oh, okay, this is fine, we can do this. Must have explained at some point this is a psychiatric unit, and this is the mother and baby unit, the psychiatric unit. My mum got my sister's phone actually to find out, because I don't think they'd given them much information. They just said they were taking me with them. So when my mum phoned, she wanted to ask where exactly I was, and I remember having a conversation with the actual nurse who answered the phone and say, can you not tell her it's a psychiatric unit? Can you just say to her that I'm just in a mother and baby unit or something? But they said, well, we can't lie to them, we have to tell them the truth. So they told them that I was at Marchwood Priory Psychiatric Hospital in the mother and baby unit with the baby, and I'd been sectioned. And a sectioning is when you are forcefully admitted to a psychiatric unit, and then you have 28 days that you have to stay there. After the 28 days, if you're evaluated and you're classed as being okay to be discharged, then you can be discharged, or the length can be extended and you can stay for longer. But when you are sectioned involuntarily, it means that then you have to take medication, you have to be there for that length of time. You don't have a choice of discharging yourself or choosing not to take any treatment if they deem necessary that you need to take treatment, which is fine. So I was prescribed iron for my, I've always been low in iron anemia, so I had to take iron and antidepressants, which were fine. What I do remember is that there was one particular nurse, and being a psychiatric unit, you weren't allowed any locks on the doors, you weren't allowed to lock your bathroom, you weren't allowed to lock your bedroom. You can shut the door, but anybody can come in whenever they wanted. So I remember that obviously the staff would need to come in regularly to check on you, check on the baby, give you medication and things. And there was one particular nurse that would come in the morning, and it happened like 2 or 3 times. I'd been in the shower and she'd call from outside to say that she's coming in, and I'd say to her, just one moment, I'm just going to grab a towel. And she purposely should just come in, and she had this look on her face, just like this evil kind of sneer on her face, and it just made me feel so uncomfortable that I'd be stood there in the shower, about to get out of the shower, but she literally would not wait even a second for me to grab a towel, and she would come in almost enjoying the fact that I'm really uncomfortable with her just standing there staring at me, and she'd insist to stand there and watch while I took the antidepressants, because she wasn't allowed to leave unless I'd taken them. But it's just, you know, you kind of like get this evil look on people, and she had this evil look, whereas a lot of the staff there were really kind, really caring, really considerate. You know, I was a 16-year-old child with a newborn baby, miles away from home. I had no idea really where I was, or how far away from home. I'd never heard of Marchwood before, so I had no idea like whereabouts that was in relation to where I lived. I had no idea whether I was going back home to my mum's or where I would go after this. Recently I've requested my notes to go through to find out exactly what happened, and in there the consultant actually says, and they've written in the medical notes, that they removed me from my house for my own safety, because it was quite clear to them that although I was suffering from postnatal depression, I just needed a lot of support and a lot of care, which I clearly was not receiving at home. Nobody in my house was supporting me, nobody in my house really cared about me. And because of the lack of support, and they could see how important it was for me to recover and to look after myself and to look after the baby, they actually removed me from the house for my own safety and for my own consideration, because they needed to get me the help and support I needed. I mean, even to them, in that sort of hour psychiatric assessment that they did, they could tell that nobody was on my side, nobody was helping me, nobody really cared. So they took me to Marchwood. I don't remember exactly how long I was there. I think possibly 2.5 months. I think I roughly remember that Ray was born on the 13th of May, and I was admitted a week later, so it had been around the 20th of May. And I think I was there the rest of May and the whole of June, possibly. So it was quite a few weeks. I think what happened was, when I was there, I actually got really, really depressed afterwards. When I'd been admitted, I was on the high side, because I was very energetic and I wasn't sleeping very much, but I was still really upbeat and really, you know, high spirits. But after being there for weeks and just not knowing anything, just not knowing, was I going back home, was I not, you know, my mum would turn up all sullen-faced, like, you know, she's the victim in all this. And she came with an uncle who's not a direct uncle, he's a cousin of my father's, who lives near us, and she came with him one day, And it was like being in a zoo. I actually felt like a zoo animal, that I was sat in a zoo with people coming, spectators coming and visitors coming to visit me, to look at me and to talk about me and to take pictures and to, you know, just they were going on a day out, and I'd be sat there with say my mum, my sisters, you know, this uncle, and they'd be talking about me right in front of me. They'd be talking, you know, as if like I was an invalid, as if I was disabled, as if I couldn't talk for myself, as if I had no, you know, knowledge of anything, as if I was completely lost track of reality. I was perfectly fine. I could understand everything they were saying. You know, during the day I'd have conversations with the other patients that were there, the nursing staff, and my friends would come and visit me. I'd talk on the phone to my friends. I did nearly everything for my baby myself. In the medical notes when I read them, that, you know, although I was only 16 years old, I could actually do everything for my baby myself. They barely ever had to intervene or help me with anything. I could change his nappy, I could feed him, I could look after him, I could care for him and care for myself. Yeah, that was hard. Even when I came home, I think towards the end I was allowed a couple of visits home. So I remember coming home, and even coming home was the same, that they treat me like I was completely crazy, like I had completely lost touch with reality, like I didn't know anything and I couldn't talk for myself and I couldn't think for myself. So I'd be sat there in the same room. I actually refused to sit in the same room with them in the end when I used to go home, because they would just talk over me and they just talk in front of me and they just talk about me but not to me. And then she used that for years. She would bring that up at every opportunity. Some of the friends that came to visit me at the time in the hospital, if they came to our house to visit, she would bring it up every opportunity she could. If I had an argument with one of my sisters, if I fell out with somebody, if I tried to express an opinion, if I tried to advise anybody with anything, if I tried to make a decision for myself or my kids, she would always bring that up. She's just crazy, just ignore her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just crazy. I remember with my younger sister, I had a lot of fallouts with my younger sister, mainly over her son being a delinquent and not listening to anything and being really sport and throwing tantrums about everything. And because I was still in the house at the time, or even when I wasn't living at the house, but I would go to my mum's house and see his behaviour, and I would always say to her, you know, you need to do something about his behaviour because he's completely out of control. Like, you know, he's lashing out. He's almost behaving the same way my brother used to behave. And he was just so spoiled. My mum spoiled him rotten. You know, he was her favourite, and she would literally let him get away with murder. And he was throwing things at people, and he would be chucking stuff about, and he was just completely out of control. But anytime I try to explain to them that, you know, you can't just let him do this. You know, he was 5 or 6 or 7. You can't just let him behave like this. You know, he's hurting people, he's shouting, he's swearing, he's breaking things, he's lashing out. You know, you need to do something about this. It was always the same. It's just, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, it's none of your business, you're just jealous. You know, you just, and then I'd hear my mum saying these things, like, oh, she's just crazy, just ignore her. My cousin stayed with my mum a year, and she said the same thing, that, you know, when you weren't there, she was always saying these things about you, you're just crazy, you know, things. And it hurts, it really hurts. But it's only recently that it's dawned on me why. My whole life she's controlled me, my whole life she's told everybody that I'm crazy. My entire community, you know, my entire immediate family, extended family, my own kids, my own grown-up niece, everyone has grown up and everyone has heard for years that I'm crazy, that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I can't be listened to, that I can't be taken advice from, that I can't make my own decisions, I can't make my own decisions for my kids, because I'm crazy, because I've got no touch with reality. And it only recently dawned on me that just before that incident happened, I had reported to social services for the abuse that she had always meted out to us, the physical abuse. And it was her way of getting back at me. You know, I'd reported her to social services, I'd gone against her, I'd humiliated her, I'd hurt her, I'd defied her. I dared to defy her, I dared to go against her. How dare I do that? So it was it was a way to show me that, you know, I don't get the one over on her. You know, she is the queen of the house, and she will be the queen of the house. And no matter what I do, what I say, it's not going to be good enough. No one will believe me. No one will trust me. No one will listen to me over her, because at the end of the day, she has the last say. She's never admitted this. She's never openly admitted. Anytime I've tried to question her or my sisters about the behaviour they subjected me to, it was always a case of, well, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, you know, you need to shut up, you need to stop making up rubbish, you need to move on with your life, you're just living in the past, you know, why can't you move on, go and get therapy, go and get counselling, go and get some medication, maybe you need to be locked up again. That's what I've heard for the last 25 years. At any opportunity, you know, anytime anything has happened, I've separated, I've divorced, I've remarried, it was always the same. I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not capable of making decisions. I'm not capable of looking after my kids or bringing up my kids. But I can. I've single-handedly twice now brought up kids myself. I've worked, I've looked after them, and I've done a damn good job about it too. You know, my eldest is doing really well in life. My second is at college studying A-levels. So I guess I'm not as crazy as they think I am.